Kolkata Knight Riders were on a huge winning streak and they haven't lost a single game. But then in comes Chennai and derails their whole plans and gives them a good thrashing. Kolkata only managed to put up 137 runs in their 20 overs, which meant this was a super easy chase for Chennai, where they won by 7 wickets and 14 balls to spare. Ruturaj Gaikwad played a captain's knock leading from the front, scoring 67 runs of 58 balls. But before we get into that, let's go back to the start of the first innings when Chennai won the toss and decided to put KKR into bat. Looking at this game from Chennai's point of view, it was really important for them to win because they had just lost the last two games against Delhi Capitals and Sunrisers Hyderabad. So going into this game, they did make a few changes where Deepak Chair had to sit out because of an injury concern. So they brought in Shardul Thakur and also Mustafizur Rahman came back from his immigration stuff while Patarana is still injured. So they are still lacking a bit of a death bowler, but that didn't really matter because Chennai got a wicket of the very first ball of the innings where Phil Salt just ended up slashing one to point, and that was Ravindra Jadeja, so he was never going to drop those. But after that, Sunil Narayan, who's been in good form, was striking it pretty well alongside his new partner in Raghuvanshi, who's the new kid on the block, right? He also scored about 24 runs today. But they ended up getting 50 runs in the power play. But after that, it was just abysmal because wickets just kept falling from one end to the other, and it ended up becoming a really boring match. If you saw the match for the first half an hour, you probably thought that the pitch was going to be a belter where it was going to be really good for batting, but then it just slowly unmasked itself, and then run scoring became really hard because if you were to look at the over by over progression, then in the first 5 overs, KKR hit 50 runs, losing only 1 wicket, while in the next 10, KKR only scored 49 runs, losing 4 wickets. That's a massive gap. So by over number 15, they were stuck at 99 for 5, and this is just the modern day of batting, right? You just go hell for leather, you keep trying to hit it out of the park, and you just end up losing your wicket. And this was not the surface to be playing that kind of game. Some of the stroke play shown off by the KKR batsman was just awful. Like Venkatesh Iyer got a short ball and he hit it straight to deep mid-wicket and was nowhere near going for a 6. And the same thing happened to Sunil Narayan when he hit one straight to long off, but at least in his case I can understand it because that's his role in the power play. He either goes for a 6 or he gets out. He only plays one way. KKR was 56 for 1 at the end of the power play and they were cruising, but then in comes Jadeja who just changes everything and brings the match into CSK's favour. Off the very first ball of the over, Angakrish Raghuvanshi takes the attacking option and goes for a reverse sweep, but he ends up getting LBW'd, beaten for pace. And when it comes to Ravindra Jadeja, you're facing him for the first time, so that was probably not the best option because you know he's going to be firing it in. And in the very same over, Sunil Narayan tries to make the most of the power play, but ends up getting caught at long off. So 2 wickets just changed the match completely because 2 new batsmen at the crease, and they just did not know how to deal with the surface. That phase from over 6 to 15 was just the end of the game because they barely got any runs. If you look at the overs, they got about 5 runs, 2 runs, 3, 4, 7, 8, 3, 6, 5. There was not a single over where they got more than 8 runs, and Jadeja and Mahesh Theekshana just dominated this phase. They got the wickets of Ramandeep Singh, who was promoted up the order. I don't know what he was doing because Rinku Singh is perfectly capable in these kind of situations, but he also backfired today. But that's besides the point, right? There's really nothing much to talk about because the highest scorer from KKR side of things is Shreyas Iyer, scoring 34 runs of 32 balls. I don't really know if you can call this a captain's innings because it's basically a run a ball and they lost the match. So, a captain's innings from a losing point of view? Cool. Even India's shining star in Rinku Singh wasn't able to do much, scoring only 9 runs of 14 balls. And then Andre Russell, the muscle, scored 10 runs of 10 balls. So, nothing really much for KKR to brag about. Only 137 runs on the board, and they pretty much got all out because they were 9 down. Even though KKR only scored 137 runs in their 20 overs, I don't really think it's that bad of a pitch. I think it was just a misunderstanding from their point of view. They just misunderstood the surface and the conditions, and by the time they realized, they had already thrown a bunch of wickets, going for that attacking and aggressive mode of modern day cricket. But that doesn't take anything away from how the CSK bowlers delivered for their team. Tushar Deshpande picked up 3 crucial wickets. One of Phil Salt on the very first ball did not allow him to dismantle the innings. Then there was a Rinku Singh in the back end as well as Andre Russell. Those are 3 huge names. And then there was Jadeja who just changed things completely, picking up 3 wickets in his 4 overs, giving only 18 runs. That was really economical and miserly as always. Those were the two standout bowlers, but apart from them, Mustafizur Rahman also deserves a mention because he bowled 4 overs, gave away only 22 runs, and picked up 2 wickets, bowled in the death, and just closed out the innings. As well as Manish Tikshana, who just squeezed them during that middle phase, giving only 28 runs and picking up the wicket of Ramandeep. So, with only 137 runs to chase down, CSK's batters walk in confidently, and Rachin Ravindra makes really good use of that power play. He scores 15 runs of 8 balls before being dismissed, and it might not seem like a lot, but he just gives that starting momentum that his team requires, and he brings that required run rate down early in the innings. And then there was a long standing partnership between Ruturaj Gaikwad and Daryl Mitchell, who had been promoted up the order this time just to give him some confidence because he hasn't been in great form for the last 4 matches that he's played. KKR just wasn't able to get that breakthrough that they needed, and they weren't helped in the field because there was also a drop catch. Daryl Mitchell ends up scoring 25 runs of 19 balls before being bowled by Sunil Narayan, but then that just made things worse because in came Shivam Dubey, who's been in some serious red hot form, and he just ended the game, scoring 28 runs of 18 balls, striking at 155 on the slowish pitch. And not to forget CSK's main man today, who was the captain, Ruturaj Gaikwad, scoring 67 runs of 58 balls, striking at about 115, which isn't great, but the most important thing is that he got his team over the line, giving them those 2 points that they really needed. This was a captain's knock, including 9 boundaries, and he didn't really take any risk at all. But this was the perfect game for CSK because they did need some of their batters to get into form, especially Ruturaj Gaikwad, because his form with the bat has been pretty low ever since he got the captaincy, as well as Daryl Mitchell. So they got some handy runs for themselves. I mean, there's not really much to talk about this game because it was pretty boring considering that you knew Chennai was going to chase this down, considering their deep batting lineup. I mean, I guess you have to talk about Mitchell Stark, who's been a complete joke up to this point. Again, another game where he hasn't performed. 3 overs, 29 runs, pretty much going at 10 and over. And the only game where he picked up any wickets or did well at all was against Delhi Capitals, where he had 260 runs in the bank to defend. So the batters were under tremendous pressure by the scorecard rather than him himself. So I don't really think he's been providing anything for KKR, and at this point, they may as well just play a Harshit Rana and Vaibhav Arora together because they both have been looking really good as far as Indian talent goes. So CSK grabbed 2 crucial points, which allows them to stay at number 4 in the points table, but at the same time, they ended up dealing a big blow to KKR because now their winning streak is over, and just sometimes breaking a winning streak can just lose the momentum for a team. So KKR will have to get back to the drawing board and reconstruct their thought process, I guess. Yeah, that's the end of my rant, so I'll see you next time.